Okay, now we're back in our document and we want to go ahead and set these artboards up. So let's first turn this image into an artboard in itself. So right now it's just an image. And what is an artboard? An artboard is a way that Adobe and Photoshop and other programs now like Illustrator has introduced a way for us to work on kind of multiple canvases at the same time. So back in the day, you'd have to have 10 tabs open and working on each one individually, but now we can actually open up multiple artboards and work on those and save those out, and they work as their own kind of layering system. You'll see how it works. But again, it's really great for this kind of thing. So let's go ahead and just convert this into an artboard now. The first thing we need to do is we need to unlock it and turn it off being this background layer. So just go ahead and double click on the background layer and give it a name. For right now, we'll just leave it named. We'll go ahead and call it original photo, just so we can keep track of what this is, and hit OK. All right, so now this is a regular layer, but it hasn't been changed into an artboard yet. So now that you have unlocked it and named it, you can right click and go to Artboard from Layers. If you don't change this from the background layer, you won't see this option. So make sure that you definitely double click on it, give it a name, and get it unlocked. And then when you right click, you'll have this option, Artboard from Layers. And go ahead and click on that. And then it's going to say what's the name of the artboard. So we can just call this original artboard. So we have our original artboard and we have the original photo that is inside of that artboard. And now you can see that we have a name up here for this artboard, original artboard. Let's go ahead and save out this file. So as we begin working, we can have some saved versions. So I'm going to go to File and click on Save. And you can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call it the name of this lecture here, Create Images for Social Media. Okay, so now I can just hit the shortcut key Control S or Command S for Mac OS to save this out whenever I need to. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and set up these artboards so I can see what they look like. And they're going to be smaller than this artboard. You will remember this is a 2688 pixel by 4032 pixel artboard, and none of our images are going to be that big. So all of our artboards are going to be a little smaller. So let's go ahead and create some. If you go into the tool panel and you go to the Move tool, and you can see there's a little arrow showing that there's some more tools underneath. If we click and hold that down, you will see the artboard tool. So go ahead and select that. Our cursor changes, and now you see at the top we have some options. Well, first of all, there's some custom options in here. So if you're doing any kind of web design or mobile design, you might actually find some dimensions automatically loaded up in here that work really well, so you don't have to try to guess. If it had it for social media, it would save us a step, but we don't. But this is a great place for these, and you can customize them as you see fit. So let's go ahead and just leave it on custom, and we're just going to click and drag. It doesn't matter the size because we can change it. But what has happened is we've created another artboard. So let's go ahead and resize this, and the first one we're going to do is the Facebook one. So that's 1200 by 630 pixels. So with this artboard still selected, just go up to the top under width and change that to 1200 and change the height to 630. Okay? Now let's go ahead and just move this artboard over a little bit. To do that, just hover over the title. If you try to click on the artboard, it won't work. Go above where it says Artboard 1, the title, and I'm just going to go ahead and move that over in line with this artboard. Let's go ahead and rename this. So you can click in the Layers panel, double click inside of there, it will highlight for us, and let's just call this Facebook. So that's our Facebook artboard. Now let's go ahead and create another one. What's really cool about this is you see these little plus signs, and if you click on those, it'll create a new artboard and keep the same aspect ratio. This is really good for things like mobile design, where you might have 10 different layouts for your design, but they're all the same size. This works good, and it saves us a step. Instead of drawing it out, we can just click on that, and it'll create a new artboard for us. Let's go ahead and move that down a little bit. But of course, it's not the right size because this one is for Twitter. So go to the top, do 506 by 253. And you can see how much smaller these artboards are actually going to be. So let's rename that Twitter. Let's go ahead and click on the plus. We'll create a new one. We'll move it down. And this one is going to be Instagram. So let's do 1080 by 1080. Double click in the panels and give it a name. And then finally our last one, this is going to be Pinterest. And this is going to be 600 by 735. Now I want to go ahead and reorganize these. I like to keep everything the way that I see it. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. I'm going to actually redo that in the layers panel. So I'm going to click and drag and put Facebook on top, click and drag and put Twitter on top, and then Instagram, and then Pinterest. That way they're just in the same order that I see them, and then I keep the original at the bottom. So later on I'll hide that and not use that whenever I'm done with it. So if we want, we can go ahead and space these out a little bit just to give us a little breathing room here. And maybe move this over. Now you'll notice sometimes you'll have some overlapping graphics that actually bleed from this graphic to this graphic. That might not be what you want. If that happens, just kind of space the things out a little better for you. So we're going to zoom in here. And you can see we have our different artboards. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. And they're all kind of different sizes. So you can see that the Facebook is big and rectangular. The Twitter is a little thinner height-wise, but it's also a rectangle. The Instagram is big and a square. And the Pinterest is a vertical rectangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an image in one of these. We can start with Facebook. And what we'll do is we'll duplicate some of the information from one artboard to the next artboard and reorganize it so it fits, and then do the same for all of these. So as we get down into Instagram and Pinterest, you'll see it's pretty much the same process. But then what happens is once we have these created, we can go ahead and export out the images for all 4 of these at one time and easily create our images for our social media platforms.